Hello everyone, welcome to Finance for All. Today we are going to dive into a topic that is crucial to understanding our economic environment: inflation. Increasing your financial intelligence starts with understanding how money printing affects all of us. So, let's explore this fascinating world together. Before we dive in, I want you to think about this. Have you ever wondered why the prices of things go up over time? The answer takes us to the heart of inflation. But don't worry, today we'll unravel this economic mystery in a simple and accessible way. In the next few minutes, we'll discover how government money printing directly impacts the prices of the goods and services we consume every day. So, get ready to gain knowledge that will allow you to make more informed financial decisions. Let's get started. But before we dive in, remember that if you find this information useful, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the little bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Now, without further ado, let's dive into the intriguing world of inflation and how it affects our daily lives. Here we go. The relationship between money printing and prices. When we hear about the government printing money, have you ever wondered how this affects the cost of the things we buy? It's simple. Imagine that a country sells 100 pencils, and people have a total of 100 pesos. Each pencil would cost 1 peso. But what happens if suddenly the amount of money increases to 120 pesos and the supply of pencils remains the same? Exactly, the price of each pencil increases to 1.2 pesos. This phenomenon is the direct result of inflation, a crucial concept to understand. In short, when the government introduces more money into the economy, it increases the amount of money in circulation, but not necessarily the amount of goods and services available. This imbalance is the genesis of inflation. Now that we have established the connection between money printing and prices, let's delve into a practical example to better understand this economic concept. Let's keep exploring. Excellent. Now that we understand how money printing can influence prices, let's dig deeper with a practical example. Let's go back to the world of pencils and pesos to better illustrate the dynamics of inflation. Imagine that last year, a pencil cost you 1 peso. At that time, the economy was balanced: 100 pencils and 100 pesos, each at 1 peso. But now, the government decides to print more money and increases the total amount to 120 pesos. What is happening? The supply of pencils has not changed, but now, with 120 pesos in circulation, the price of each pencil increases to 1.2 pesos. This, my friends, is inflation in action. Essentially, inflation causes the same pencil you bought for 1 peso to now cost 1.2 pesos. This may seem small, but when applied to all goods and services, the magnitude of the impact becomes apparent. This simple example helps us visualize how inflation directly affects our purchasing power. But there is more to discover. In the next section, we will explore what a 10% inflation rate really means. Follow me. Understanding the inflation rate. Now that we've explored how inflation can affect the price of a pencil, it's time to understand how we measure this economic phenomenon. Let's introduce ourselves to the concept of the inflation rate. Imagine that last year you bought a delicious pan dulce for 10 pesos. Now, this same pan dulce, 1 year later, costs 11 pesos. What does this price increase really mean? That price increase, from 10 to 11 pesos, represents a 10% increase. But what if the price had gone up to 12 pesos? That would be a 20% increase, and so on. However, there is something important to keep in mind: a 10% inflation rate does not mean that all goods and services will increase by exactly 10%. It may be that the price of sweetbread increased by 10%, while pork only increased by 5%, milk by 7%, and beans by 18%. But taken together, all these increases are averaged to get the overall inflation rate. So far, we have explored how inflation affects prices, but how do we measure its actual impact on our lives? This is where a key concept comes into play: the market basket. Imagine a basket where you place essential products such as meat, fish, milk, basic grains, fruits, vegetables, beverages, hygiene products, cleaning products, cosmetics, and other essentials for a family. Each country constructs its own basic basket, adapted to the average requirements of its population. Then, at regular intervals, the prices of these products are reviewed to measure the change in the cost of living. As the prices of the basic basket increase, so does the inflation rate, since it reflects the average increase in the prices of the essential products that make up daily life. In economic terms, the basic food basket represents the set of products and services that are essential for a family's subsistence and well-being. But what happens when inflation decreases? That's where things get even more interesting. Declining inflation and its implications. An often confusing phenomenon: falling inflation. What does it really mean when we hear that the inflation rate is falling? Let's find out. Most assume that a decline in inflation means that prices are falling. However, this is not entirely true. To understand it better, let's go back to the sweetbread example. Let's assume that a year ago, sweetbread cost 80 pesos. With 5% inflation, today it would cost 84 pesos, but if inflation were 10%, the price would be 88 pesos. Inflation went down, but prices still went up. So, although prices are rising at a slower rate, they are still rising. It is crucial to understand that declining inflation does not mean a real fall in prices, but more moderate growth. This nuance is essential to making informed financial decisions. But how can we quickly calculate the change in prices due to inflation? How to calculate the price change due to inflation? So far, we have explored how inflation affects prices and what it means when it decreases. But how can we quickly calculate the price change due to inflation? Let's dive into the practical. The formula is simple but powerful. If you want to calculate the new price after inflation, multiply the original price by the sum of 1 plus the inflation percentage. If your country's inflation is 20%, you multiply the price by 1.2. If it's 15%, you multiply by 1.15. Let's see it in action. This quick method will give you an estimate of the new price after accounting for inflation. But what if prices fall instead of rise? Let's explore this rare but interesting phenomenon in the next section. Let's continue our journey of financial understanding. Ready for the next step? Let's go. Now that we have unraveled how inflation affects our pocketbooks, let me take you to another crucial aspect. We are told that the government gives money to various causes: children, schools, hospitals. But how does this really work? Here's the truth: the government doesn't give anything because it doesn't have its own money. To fund any project, the government needs to collect money from the people. This is usually done through existing taxes or the imposition of new taxes. Understanding this is essential. The next time you hear the government promise to give money to some cause, remember that it is actually collecting from the citizens. And if the government decides to print the money it needs, you already know, the prices of goods will increase in the country, i.e., the level of inflation will increase. Congratulations on getting this far. We've broken down the complex world of inflation, from its impact on prices to the relationship between government, money, and our financial projects. Remember that inflation is not only an economic phenomenon, it is a force that can affect our daily lives. Understanding it gives us the ability to make wiser financial decisions and anticipate its effects. Increasing your financial intelligence is an ongoing journey. If you want to delve even deeper into these topics or explore other aspects of finance, I encourage you to continue educating yourself. Information is your best ally. Thank you for being part of this journey. Remember, financial knowledge is a powerful tool that we can all take advantage of. Until next time, and may your financial decisions always be the right ones. If you liked this video, don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on the little bell to be notified when we upload videos for more financial content. See you in the next episode.